going on, guys? XSR Detroit here with a different kind of video. So last weekend I sold my beloved 2013 Ford Focus ST, my daily driver for the last 10 years. And the reason I sold it is because I've got something new and exciting coming, and I'm not sure when it's gonna arrive. I don't know if that means the end of the week or a month from now, but I don't have a car anymore, basically. I mean, it's summer in Michigan, and I got a couple bikes, so I don't really think I need a car. So from now on, until this thing shows up, I'm living the two-wheel life, rain or shine. So commuting to work, grocery shopping, just everyday life stuff, everything is gonna be motorcycles full-time now. So I don't know how this is gonna go, but this is how it went. So, this did not last nearly as long as I planned on it lasting. I thought it would take about a month for my new vehicle to show up, and it took like 2 weeks. So basically, I lived off the XSR for only 2 weeks, but I feel like that's enough time to kind of get what I wanted out of the experience. If you're new to the channel, I've got two motorcycles, a Yamaha XSR 900 and a Honda CRF 300L. I did most of my commuting on my XSR. It was just easier because I had saddlebags on that bike. It just simplified things. I think I took my CRF to work once and just tossed everything into a backpack. I don't need to carry a lot for work, so it's not that big of a deal, but I found myself just going for the XSR. It was just easier overall. Most of the riding I did on my CRF was actually like just riding for fun, hitting trails or just whatever. Most of the time I was on the XSR. Now, as far as my like daily commute to work went, it didn't change things too much. Basically what I did is I put all of my work stuff into a saddlebag, so when I got to work I could just pop it off the bike and walk into work. I definitely had to get up earlier so I could get changed when I got to my job, and one thing that definitely helped me was leaving my tennis shoes at my job, and I would walk in and out with my motorcycle boots. That definitely saved me some time, but I definitely had to get up earlier to get the bike prepped. After a couple days though, I was surprised how quickly I got into the routine. Now the biggest thing that was going to be a limiting factor on this whole thing was weather, and I don't know why I thought this. I've grown up in Michigan my entire life. Like, summers, like, it can be dry as hell for a long time, like this summer, and then you just get stormed on, which is exactly what happened. So I don't know why I didn't plan for this, but out of the 2 weeks, there was only one day where it stormed so bad that on my lunch break, I had to run my motorcycle back to my house and pick up my fiance's car because it was coming down, like, it was bringing trees down. It was kind of chaotic in my neighborhood when it happened. By the time I got out of work, it had calmed down, but when I got into my neighborhood, it was pretty beat up. So I can't imagine my motorcycle would have done great out in a thunderstorm with hail. So I'm really grateful I could take it back home that day. I probably should have checked the weather that day. Checking the weather became a 10 time a day thing. I would just open my phone and look at the weather every day just to kind of see. I don't mind getting wet, I just don't want the bike to get damaged. And when it comes to like hail and stuff, I think bowing out for a day wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, one day out of the whole 2 weeks, so not too bad. One thing that I was a little worried about was grocery shopping. You know, usually me and my fiance grocery shop together, so it's really not an issue. But lately we've both been working crazy hours. We're both super busy, so we don't always go together anymore. Sometimes it's just running after work, grabbing a couple things, doing that like twice a week sometimes. So I was a little concerned. Between my saddlebags, I have 30 liters of storage, so I pulled out my 40 liter dry bag backpack, which gave me a ton of extra space as far as grocery shopping. One thing that I learned really quickly, it's a lot easier if you take things out of the boxes and containers and then put them in the bags than just trying to shove boxes of shit. Like if I wanted to buy like, you know, some beer or something, I'm not gonna put a box of beer in a backpack. I just empty the cans into the bag, and what I would do is I would just toss all my bags and boxes that I had from the food items and stuff before I left the grocery store parking lot. So that does add, you know, a bit of time to your trip, but if you're working with like limited, you know, packing space, you gotta do what you gotta do. And surprisingly, I never had any trouble going grocery shopping on the motorcycle. I always had a little bit of room. A little bit of extra room, surprisingly. I really thought that was going to be an issue, or I'd be doing like multiple small trips. But for the most part, I was usually able to get what I needed. There was an occasional time where like my fiance and I would have to like go together, but overall it actually wasn't that bad. It's definitely more doable than I thought. As far as like day-to-day life, weekend stuff, it doesn't affect me too much. You know, of course on the weekend I want to be riding my motorcycle anyway, so for I think both weekends I was just riding for fun. So it didn't really affect it too much. Meeting up with friends, stuff like that, I would just have to bring my helmet with me everywhere, which did get kind of old. My helmet, you know, even though it's about to be retired next season, I did spend like quite a bit of money on it. It's got a Cardo on it. It's not something I've ever felt comfortable just leaving on my bike. And that's another thing too. If I would go somewhere and I was away from the bike for more than a half hour or an hour, I would get antsy for sure. I felt that a lot, and it didn't really go away with time. I was going back to check on my bike like pretty frequently just because I just felt a little uncomfortable about it. And I mean, of course that's going to happen normally anyway, but I just I was much more aware of that because sometimes out of convenience, I mean, sometimes riding a motorcycle somewhere isn't the right move. Sometimes it's just easier to bring your car or truck or whatever. So overall, I didn't go anywhere or do anything where I wasn't immediately like, oh no, I can't take the bike there. It was just like, all right, you know, well, I'll bring it and I'll see it. You know, got insurance for a reason, right? So, but yeah, for the most part, day-to-day life or like just hanging out on the weekends wasn't too crazy. Going to the gym was fine with the bike and stuff. It's just more gear to carry. Of course, you're going through the gearing up and gearing down thing every time you're stopping, which I don't want to say it got old. I got into the routine of it, but it definitely is not as easy as just hopping out of a car. Traveling strictly on a bike definitely has some perks to it. I think between the 2 weeks of just commuting to and from work, I think I spent like $30, which is pretty crazy. So it was very cheap and affordable to ride my motorcycle to work and just ride it everywhere, really. Definitely cheaper than my car, which was pretty nice. It made every morning kind of feel like an adventure in a way. Of course, if you've watched the channel before, I'm a backpacker and motorcycle camper, so I love playing with my gear, and getting to do that every day was pretty fun. It was cool to prepare for different situations, you know, nothing major, of course, but, you know, just little tweaks and stuff. And there was something I really looked forward to in the morning when I would just, you know, get some cool air in my helmet. It made me feel like, it kind of woke me up, you know. When I got to work, I felt like energized and I was ready to go. And then, of course, getting outside of work, you know, the bike's there. Like, do I want to take the long way home, like hit some roads on the way home? That was always an option, and that was kind of fun. So it definitely livened up what I would say are like just kind of normal, boring days. I'm not entirely sure if I would consider this a fully negative aspect, but I will say that if you're going to be commuting on a bike full time, everything you're going to do is going to take more time than usual. Whether that's getting ready for work, getting changed at work, or, you know, like I was saying with the grocery store stuff, where you're just kind of unloading all of your stuff into your bags, and then you have to go throw out your trash, you know, just everything I did that was like, that I would consider like normal day-to-day activities took a little bit longer. It took a little bit more preparation, and that's not such a bad thing. I fell into the routine pretty quickly, but of course none of this is as simple as just like me chucking my work bag into my car and just like taking off. You know, every day I had to make sure I was ready to go. You know, I would do a lot of preparation the night before, and none of that's a bad thing. Like, if you're a pretty disciplined person, these things are probably not going to affect you that bad. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Some people might not like the convenience of it, but I mean, the perks are like the killer gas mileage. I mean, you're riding, that always feels nice. So I would say it's more positive than negative, but there were times where I was just like, damn it, I gotta, you know, can't basically just be like a lazy piece of shit. So I didn't like that sometimes. Overall, it was a pretty cool experience. I was hoping to go like a month. You know, the fact that it only lasted 2 weeks was kind of a bummer, but overall, I really enjoyed commuting full time on the bike. It does complicate some things, but not nearly as much as I thought it would. You know, in the future, I want to take some month-long, you know, cross-country trips, and it's something that I think I could adapt to pretty quickly and just enjoy just from traveling on the bikes before. I know some of you guys probably commute on your bikes every day. This is like no biggie to you. But for me, it was just kind of something different. It worked out with what I was doing with this other vehicle, which, speaking of which, I've had it for like a month now. I'm a little behind on my videos. I've been crazy busy lately. So the next video we'll get into that. So stay tuned for that. But as always, you know, guys, ride fast, ride naked, commute with your bike full time for a week. See how you like it. Get back to me. But that is it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.